Welcome back to Lion Recaps. Today I will show you an American superhero film from 2011, titled Captain America, the First Avenger. At the beginning of the film, we see scientists in the Arctic region find an old aircraft buried in the ice. When the scientists enter the ship, they find Captain America's shield there. Now scene shifts to 1942 Tønsberg, Norway, where we see Adolf Hitler's remarkable man Nazi general, Johann, who is also the commander of the terrorist group Hydra, enters a church with his soldiers. Johann is looking for something special there, and he also knows a lot about history and spirituality. So he finds what he is looking for, but immediately realizes that it is fake. The church father tells him that you are not worthy of what you seek, nor can he control its power. Johann looks around, then he sees a button on the wall. When he presses it, a box pops out. He opens the box, and a blue light emanates from it. In fact, it contains the Tesseract Cube, a relic with unexplored natural powers. Johann kills the church's father and leaves with the Tesseract. Now the scene shifts to 1943 New York City, where we see a frail boy named Steve Rogers, who wants to join the army and do something for his country because there is an atmosphere of war all around. But he is always rejected whenever he takes the medical test to join the army, because he has a lot of physical and medical problems that cause Steve a lot of frustration. The next day he meets his friend Bucky, who is already recruited into the military. Bucky takes him to an exhibition where futuristic things are presented to the public. Here we see Howard Stark, Iron Man, Tony Stark's father, showing off a flying car built by his company. Then Steve Rogers sees an ad to join the army and he goes there to take the test again. Bucky follows him and tells Roger that you've been rejected so many times, he shouldn't try again. Steve Rogers says that our soldiers are fighting for the freedom of the country and are giving their lives. I also want to do something for my country. A scientist named Abraham standing in the back listens to the two, after which Steve goes in to take his medical test. While he is having his medical there, the nurse whispered something in the doctor's ear, then both went out from there. After the doctor leaves, Steve realizes he's been rejected again. Then Abraham, the scientist who overheard all of Steve and Bucky's talk, arrives there. He tells Steve, I work on an army special science project, do you want to kill Nazi people? Steve says, I don't like killing people, I just want to protect my country. Abraham says, if you tell me everything about yourself, maybe I can help you. Steve tells him the truth, that I'm from Brooklyn and I've tried 5 times to join the army. Hearing this, Dr. Ibrahim passes him into medical and finally, he is recruited into the military. But during training, Steve is left behind in every physical activity due to his medical problems. As the soldiers are running for further training, a flag is placed on a pole along the way. Everyone is told that we are halfway there and whoever takes the flag off the pole can make the return journey in a car. Everyone tries to climb the pole, but they all fail to take down the flag. In fact, for the last 17 years, no soldier has been able to bring the flag down. But then everyone is surprised when Steve Rogers smartly drops the pole and takes out the flag and sits in the car. Now the next day, when everyone is training, Dr. Abraham comes there and tells Colonel Philip that I want to select Steve Rogers for the Super Soldier program. The colonel is totally shocked to hear this. He says if we put a needle in his arm, the needle will go through his body. Because Roger is very weak, but for this job, I have a young man with many qualities. Dr. Abraham says I want a person who has not only physical features, but also a soul. Then the colonel grabs a grenade and throws it among all the soldiers during the training. All the soldiers run around, but Steve jumps on the grenade to save his comrades and tells everyone to leave. We are then shown the soldier Colonel Philip wanted to select for the Super Soldier program hiding behind a car. Now everyone is convinced that Steve Rogers is the best choice for this program. The next scene shows Johann doing an experiment with his scientist. He has created a machine that links with the Tesseract. Johann is surprised to see that the scientist manages to store the Tesseract's energy in a small device. He says that now we can power our planes for days with the help of this energy and the map of war will completely change. On the other hand, Peggy Carter, who is Steve Rogers' senior officer, takes him to Brooklyn, where Dr. Abraham is about to start the Super Soldier program. There we also see Howard Stark, who has built a capsule machine for this experiment. Steve Rogers' body is injected with muscle regenerator serum and then sealed inside a capsule machine. Then Vita rays are thrown on his body and the percentage is gradually increased. And when the power of the Vita rays reaches 70%, Roger begins to cry out in pain. Seeing this, Dr. Abraham immediately asks to turn off the machine, but Roger's voice is heard from inside the capsule saying, "Don't turn it off, I can handle it." Howard Stark then takes the power of the Vita rays to 100%, after which the machine shuts itself off. When the capsule-like chamber was opened, Roger was completely transformed, and all his ailments were cured. Before he was a thin and weak boy, but now his body has changed into a young, tall man with strong muscles. Dr. Abraham's serum works, and everyone there is overjoyed with the success of the super soldier program. Meanwhile, a man named Kruger among those people who were Johann's spy detonates an explosion there with a remote control. During the chaos, he steals the last tube of serum and escapes by shooting Dr. Abraham. After Dr. Abraham dies in front of Steve Rogers, he follows the Kruger. Where earlier he had trouble running, now he runs faster than the speed of a car, and finally, he manages to catch Detective Kruger. During the fight, the last serum tube also falls from Kruger's hand and breaks. Steve interrogates him, but he kills himself by chewing a cyanide capsule and shouting "Hail Hydra" before dying. In the next scene, we see Johann, who has created several dangerous weapons with the help of the Tesseract. He uses these weapons to kill some of Hitler's remarkable men because he wanted to rule the world by destroying many countries. On the other hand, Steve Rogers is seen giving his blood samples. Because the last serum tube was wasted and Dr. Abraham was also killed, they no longer had any serum samples. Peggy Carter tells Roger that without Dr. Abraham, it will take years to recreate the serum. Howard Stark, on the other hand, tells Colonel Phillip and the seniors that he doesn't know how the combination of the serum and the machine works on the human body. This means that these guys can no longer create a large number of super soldiers and they have Steve Rogers as the first and last super soldier. Roger's bravery in capturing Johann's man Kruger as he runs down the street makes him very famous in the public and his picture is printed on the front page of all the newspapers. Roger Sr. tells him that if you want to serve your country and soldiers in war, you convince people to buy war bonds. Now we see Roger dressed as Captain America and sent to perform shows in different cities, where he appeals to the public to buy as many war bonds as possible, which will give the government money to buy weapons and ammunition to fight the war. But Roger does not like this job at all, and one day he is sent to perform in front of a battalion where all the soldiers make fun of him. Seeing all this makes Roger very sad because he wanted to be a soldier and his position there is nothing more than an actor. After the show, Peggy Carter visits Roger and informs him that a battalion has been sent to attack the Hydra organization. This battalion included his friend Bucky, and most of the soldiers were killed and those who survived were taken prisoner. Roger goes to Colonel Phillip and talks about freeing the prisoners, but he refuses to attack there. The colonel says that his enemies have a very strong fortification there and if he sends his troops there, it is impossible for them to survive. But Roger wants to save his friend Bucky, so with the help of Peggy Carter and Howard Stark, they leave for the Hydra base on a private plane. Upon reaching there, the anti-aircraft gun installed in the Hydra base suddenly starts firing at Howard Stark's plane. Roger jumps out of the plane wearing a parachute while Peggy and Stark manage to escape the gunfire. Roger infiltrates the Hydra base and reaches the lab where there is a very advanced weapon that is all powered by Tesseract energy. Captain America manages to free all of his comrades and tells them to get out of there and starts looking for his friend Bucky himself. He finally finds Bucky and as he is walking out with him, he is confronted by Johann, who removes the mask from his face. As soon as the mask is removed, a red skull is revealed. Actually, he used to work with Dr. Abraham when his serum was not fully developed, so he injected the incomplete serum into his body, which gave his body strength, but as a side effect his face was completely disfigured and he turned into a red skull. The red skull escapes with his fellow scientist, Dr. Zola. Roger also manages to get Bucky out of there and free all the soldiers from captivity and bring them back to the camp with him, where Colonel Phillip is very happy with Roger's move and after this mission, the colonel now trusts him more than before. Roger tells Peggy Carter that there were some markings on the map he saw at the Hydra base. "I'm pretty sure these are where Hydra makes their weapons, so I want to attack them." He goes to Colonel Phillip and tells him about his plan and chooses the same team for the mission as the soldiers he rescued. He then goes to Howard Stark, who shows Roger some shields he made especially for Captain America. Roger asks Howard about a shield made of a very rare metal called vibranium. Howard says that this metal is found in very small amounts on Earth, with as much vibranium as there is in your hand. Roger chooses the shield, and now Captain America goes on a mission with his companions and destroys several Hydra bases. Then we see that over time Roger and Peggy grow to like each other. In the next scene, Captain America is seen on the roof of a train amidst snowy mountains on a special mission with his companions. In fact, he has come to capture the Red Skull, Johann's fellow biochemist Dr. Zola, who is traveling on the train. Captain America enters the train and captures Dr. Zola, but his friend Bucky is trapped outside the train. Captain America tries hard to save his friend, but the handle by which he is hanging breaks and Bucky falls into a deep chasm to his death. Dr. Zola, who is now in his captivity, tells Colonel Phillip that very soon the Red Skull is going to drop bombs in many countries of the world, which will almost destroy the entire world. Captain America and his soldiers arrive at the base of Hydra, where the Red Skull is present with his dangerous weapons. Red Skull then escapes the base on an aircraft with the Tesseract, but Captain America follows him and reaches the plane with the help of Peggy Carter. Then there is a dangerous fight between Captain America and the Red Skull, with the captain using his shield to attack the Red Skull. His shield collides with a machine, causing the Tesseract in it to come out. Red Skull grabs the Tesseract in his hand but is unable to withstand its energy. Then the power of this energy opens a portal in space and the Red Skull dissipates in this energy. The Tesseract falls down there, but its power is so high that it melts through the plane's iron and pierces it. Captain America tries to control the aircraft but soon realizes that it cannot be controlled. He tells Peggy Carter on the radio that the plane is headed for New York and I have to crash it if people are to be saved. Peggy Carter forbids him to do so because she loves him, but Captain America sacrifices himself to save the lives of his countrymen. He crashes the plane in the icy Arctic, and moments later the entire plane sinks into the ice. On the other hand, Howard Stark finds the Tesseract, but Captain America is nowhere to be found, after which Germany is defeated and World War II ends. The story now shifts back to the future, where Captain America's eye opens in a hospital. A nurse comes there, he asks her where I am, and she says that you are in a hospital in New York. Captain America doubts this because the match commentary playing on the radio took place in 1941. But Captain America had an accident in the year 1945, so he runs away. When he arrives at Times Square in New York City, he finds that the world has completely changed. The next moment Nick Fury appears in front of him and tells him that his aircraft crashed 70 years ago today. For 70 years you were buried under the ice, but still you lived. We were going to tell you everything slowly, but your mind is so sharp, you figured it all out on your own. Finally, in the post-credits scene, Nick Fury approaches Captain America and informs him of a special mission. With that, the movie ends. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.